Hey, bestie. You know what we're here to talk about? We're here to talk about reading goals for this year. I didn't get to share mine with you, so it's time to share them. This is every reader's thing to do every year. Sometimes we don't really hit it. Then the new year comes and we start that whole process again. Well, here I am with new goals. Some the same, some different. But you know what, bestie? This is a new year, a different year. We're not in 2022 no more. That's in the past. New year, new me. I know you heard that plenty of times before, but you got to listen to me. All right? All right. One of the goals that I want to make sure to keep up with is my reading challenges. Because, sometimes you'll be all excited for it in the beginning, and then, it tends to dwindle down, and then it's just like the end of the year comes and you're like, oh, damn. I didn't complete that reading challenge. I would love to make sure I keep up with it this year, especially the ones that I created. With that being said, the way I plan on tracking everything is with using my reading journal. And I know, bestie, you probably saying like, Jeannie, you said this last year, okay? Like you said you was going to use your reading journal and we haven't even seen nothing. You haven't even brought it up. I know, but I'm bringing it up now this year. Don't judge me. This year is that year. I don't know, but 2023 is hitting different. And guess what? I actually made some progress compared to last year. Last year, I didn't even get to fully open it, okay? Here's my reading journal. Yes, bestie, I know. You saw this last year. Why are you showing this again? Listen, I'm not going to let this reading journal go to waste, all right? Because I spent a lot of time doing stuff like this. And, that's a lot of work, commitment, time, everything. So as you can see, I already added the 2023. So you see, new year, new me, bestie. And remember I said about keeping up with book challenges? Well, this is why I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I keep up with that in my reading journal, because I have my TBR knockout challenge, which if you don't know about this, I'll link it up above or down below, and you can definitely check it out. And then I also have the series that I want to read, the 23 books that I want to read. So don't judge me just yet because it's not filled out, but as you can see, I still added the year. And this was actually done new because underneath here there was the old one, and from when I first completed this, which was not last year, I think it was in 2021. And then to top it off, I already printed out all the books that I'm planning to read this year. So you see that, right? You see that, bestie. I am doing the damn thing. I am ready for my reading journal because you know what? I have to. If not, this was a waste of ink, paper, everything. A waste of my time looking for these book covers. This is the perfect time to go into this goal. I plan on minimizing reading new books and maximizing reading old books. So when I say reading old books, I'm not talking about like books written back in 2000 and whatever. No, I'm talking about reading old books like the ones I already own. That was the point of why I created this TBR knockout challenge. Like, hello. A big goal of mine is to make sure I read books from my shelf. Like, I have to do that. It has to happen. And then with that also comes the series, because there were plenty of series that I put on my shelf last year. And guess what? Do you think your girl read it? No, you remember that, right? I didn't read it. I just didn't get to read all of them. And if I did start one, I didn't get to finish. I have commitment issues when it comes to series. So the reason for that is because I'm either scared for what's to come, or I enjoy the world and the characters so much that I just don't want to let go. So I know that if I finish the series, it's gonna be that's it. I have a lot of series, okay? That's just sitting there on my shelf. So yes, series this year are getting finished. And with that minimizing reading new books comes the whole not to buy new books. And I'm not saying that I'm gonna put myself on a book ban, because that's not happening. I'm trying to do realistic goals, okay? That's not realistic. I can say that all I want, but you know what? Your girl will somehow buy a book. because I know I cannot survive a book ban, especially for the whole year. Like, who does that? I can't. I don't know her. I don't know that thing called book banning. I will say that I'm going to limit buying myself new books. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, bestie, because I'm going to use the library more. And you know what inspired me to make this goal in the first place? It was one of my patrons, Sierra. They always go and get library books. I miss that feeling too, because I love the library. And the thing is that the one close by to me, it's not open yet because they're doing renovations. So that makes it harder for me to actually go to a library because I have to like travel. And you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because then this goal that I also would like to do is spend outside in nature, reading, enjoying the sunlight, and going to the library and going to like a cafe with my book. It becomes a little bit depressing when you're always home working, doing stuff for the channel. Yeah, I can still do that, but I also want to enjoy nature. Even though I'm from New York and nature is not as beautiful as in some places. Like, you get the lovely smells and critters and stuff of the city, but you know, I can still do that. That's pretty hard for me to do because I'm also an introvert. So that would be a really big goal of mine, especially doing it alone, because most of the time when I go out places, I go with my bestie, Chrissy, or yeah, that's like the main book person that I have in my life and I do things with. Even though, you know, bestie, like I have epilepsy and technically we're not supposed to be out and about on our own, and we're supposed to have somebody there with us. But that's the thing. If I'm at a public place, that counts, right? With that said, another one of my reading goals this year is to read more arcs, because I've been noticing that I've been getting sent arcs and I'm like excited about that. And I used to do all of that when I owned my own book box, which, speaking of, that might be coming out this year as well. It's gonna be part of like the exclusive for my premium subscribers, so you might want to come join us. Another book goal of mine is to read nonfiction and self-help books, like at least one every month. I created a challenge actually in my server where it's basically like that. Oh, and it's on Storygraph too. What is it called? Is it New Year, New Me? I think so. Or New Year, Better Me. I forgot exactly what I called it. I love reading those because it's nice to learn through others' experiences. And as far as like self-help, I love those too because it gives me motivation. It inspires me and it keeps me positive. I should have 12 read by the end of the year. I'm going to plan my book club reads in advance, because a lot of times I do it like that month before, and it's not fair, not only to myself, but to my patrons that do depend on the library, or like me, might be in a similar situation where they're financially struggling and they need more time to buy their books. I like to think of others and put myself in their shoes. And, you know, I just know that things are a little hard now. So I want to make sure that I plan those in advance, especially so like that it helps with me not purchasing the book, you see, and I can get my book that we're doing for that book club if I don't have it, you know, because my patrons suggest books as well. So if I don't have it, I can get it at the library. You see? I got all these goals flowing. They're flowing. And since we mentioned my book club and my Patreon, if you are interested, the link is down below. Signing up for the premium subscription is optional. That's, you know, mainly if you want to support me more and if you want more exclusive perks, then hey, sign up. It definitely helps me and helps the channel. Besides me wanting to schedule out our book club reads like in advance, I also want to do more readathons with them and more like live stream stuff and like, you know, all the things I want to do with my patrons, and especially readathons, because when it comes to readathons, I tend to read more, I tend to focus more. And even though sometimes doesn't always work out that way, because if I'm editing a video or something, it does take out time from it. But I'm also planning to do more of a routine schedule with everything. Then at least I'll be able to read instead of just doing stuff. Then the other one that goes along with this one, and basically all of them, is that I want to focus on reading more, like physical copy reading. I love the feel of physical books, the feel, the smell, the looking at it, the pretty covers. You know, with audiobooks you don't get that. So it's like, I need that in my life. Then the other thing with the focus on reading physical is that then I can annotate again. So I definitely want to go back into my full-blown annotating, because that's the other thing that I tend to miss when I'm listening to an audiobook. Because I'm listening to it, I don't get to annotate. And I love annotating, okay? It's just a fun thing. I do have different systems for like each genre. Yeah, I'm like that, okay? We know this, bestie. That's definitely a goal that I want to make sure that I keep. Besides everything else, you know, bestie, don't think that this is the only one. And with the focusing on reading more, I do want to start setting a routine, you know, because I tend to find myself working a lot, you know, because I'm a workaholic. Sometimes I just don't know when to stop. I want to set up like a number of pages for every day. I'm not doing 100 pages a day, because I set a goal for like 50 pages, because I feel like that's more durable, especially if I start setting, you know, getting used to a routine. And if I see that I'm not able to do the 50, because I don't want to have that number looming over my head like it's a mistletoe, like, no, I am gonna lower it and just go according to my pace. Another goal is, it has to do with a reading challenge that I created, which is the reading cashback challenge. With that challenge, I get to reward myself. So it's cash back to myself for every book I read. So if you have not seen that cashback challenge, and you should check it out, bestie, because I don't know what you're waiting for. I posted that like, what, 2 videos ago or 2 weeks ago, something like that. I plan on making sure that I reward myself. So with that reading cashback challenge, besides it motivating me to like read more and save money in the process, I also want to make reading fun. What I mean by that, bestie, is that I want to make sure that whatever I'm picking up is because I also want to pick it up. The other thing too is that sometimes I found myself reading other books and it just wasn't it. And then guess what? I was put in a reading slump. I want to make sure that the books I picked here on this shelf to read as part of my TBR knockout challenge, I read them, because these are books that I want to read and I want to make sure that I read. So yeah, I just feel like this year I have to do that for me. It's also like that whole pressure thing, you know, as like a booktuber, sometimes you feel pressured to read certain books, or sometimes you feel pressure to read a certain amount of books. So with that being said, I also want quality over quantity. I want to be able to just read and get the fun out of it and visit these worlds and dive in with these characters and just enjoy it, you know, even if it comes down to me reading 1 book a month, which that's not gonna happen. I've had months last year where I think I read 3, 4 books, 5 even, and that's okay, because sometimes trying to make it to 10, 11, 12, it's too much, because then I don't remember what I read half the time. And especially having epilepsy, it's hard for us to like process things and retain things. We tend to forget things a lot, which is also a reason why I annotate my books, because that kind of helps me and it helps me remember. As far as like my Goodreads reading goal, well, last year I had it at 75. I didn't really feel so pressured like I did when I had my 100 goal. Did I hit that reading goal? No, but I was close. I got to 68 and I was still happy with that. So this year I still decided to keep my Goodreads goal at 75 because I figured either I can go down, but why would I go down when I almost reached it last year? You know, I made it to 68 books, and I would have completed that goal if I would not have went into like a 3 month reading slump. Or it was it 3 months, it was like 4 month reading slump, where I was just reading a little bit and not really enjoying what I've been picking up. I feel like I can do 75. And again, even if I don't, oh well, the world keeps going. We keep moving on. There's always next year for a different goal. If I see that it's becoming like too much of a like a pressure, because you know we all know how Goodreads can be. They're like, you're 1 book behind. They're already telling me I'm 2 books behind. So I'm like, listen, shut up. All right, I already know. But if I feel like that pressure starts happening again, then I'm gonna lower it. But if not, I'm just like, Goodreads, be quiet. I'll get to it when I get to it. You know. So bestie, now that I finished rambling about my goals, let me know your goals. I want to hear it. You know, I'm always chatting it up in the comments. And don't forget, you can join me in my Discord server. It is free. There is a free option. So come join. Let's keep each other motivated this year. And bestie, like I mentioned before, if you have not checked out my reading cashback challenge, then definitely check it out right here. You see what I did there? I made it easy for you. Love you. Check it out.